Hi, everybody, and welcome to the JD Pool here in DeWitt, New York. My name is Sam Gelfand, joined by my broadcast partner, Claire Huyck. It turns out we had already gone live, but the thing is that YouTube got stuck after I had hit the go live button. So, you didn't see our first intro. This is our second attempt. How are you doing now, Claire, with the knowledge?
So much better now that everything's working.
And now that you know that you've got a second chance to fix everything.
It's fabulous.
So, today is a meet between the JD CBA Red Rams and the visiting Fulton Red Raiders. However, it is a paper meet. We will not see the Fulton team here. They'll be competing at their pool while we are here. So we won't know what the score is by the end of today, but instead, we're racing against the clock. We're going to see if people can beat their personal bests, and we're going to see if they can get that oh-so-fleeting sectional mark. But before that happens, let's take a quick look at a word from everyone here at Jamesville DeWitt Athletics. The best precaution you can take against COVID-19 is to stay home whenever possible. We thank you for keeping yourself and our student athletes safe by watching this broadcast remotely. Let us bring the meet to you instead. Now we take a look at today's schedule. We joked about doing it like an auctioneer when the first intro didn't go out, so let's see if I can do it this time. You ready?
That's right. Let's see how fast you can go.
200-yard medley relay, 200-yard freestyle, 200-yard individual medley, 50-yard freestyle, 1-meter diving, 100-yard butterfly, 100-yard freestyle, 500-yard freestyle, 200-yard freestyle relay, 100-yard backstroke, 100-yard breaststroke, 400-yard freestyle relay.
Now that was pretty quick, but probably not as quick as these guys are going to swim today.
We should have had the timer up.
Definitely.
Well, we're going to see how everyone does in just a moment. The national anthem should be played in a couple of minutes, and we hope to see you stick around. Thank you so very much for joining us here live on YouTube for JD TV. That was our own Emily Ninestein singing the national anthem today. Man, she killed it.
She sounded absolutely lovely.
Yeah, that was real great. So we are all ready to get underway here at JD Middle School, the home of the JD pool. Once again, Sam Gelfand and Claire Huyck here bringing you this athletic contest. Our first event will be the boys' 200-yard medley relay. It's a boys' swimming meet, so I think the first part's implied, but, you know, in case you forgot. Here we go. A medley relay. There we go. That's the medley relay. No qualifying time for Section 3 Class A. There will only be one heat today. That's one of the benefits of having a paper meet is you get everything out of the way pretty quickly.
That's true. Everything runs very fast. It does make it a little difficult, though, if you're swimming multiple events. They do get quite close together, which can be more tiring for sure.
Yeah, especially if you're one of those people who runs multiple events that are right next to each other, you're getting less time to breathe. So, let's take a look at today's heat sheet. In lane 2, Seamus Endries, Matt Sullivan, Noah Mignonelli, and Luke Rystrom. In lane 3, Jamie Turo, Nathan Shen, Bobby Deal, and Garrig Snyder. Lane 4, Kyler Huyck, Emmanuel Ignacio, Tim Sheftick, and Lucas Holmquist. And in lane 5, Matt Trivelpiece, Willen Arakshiv, Matt Radford, and Drew Babkian. Hit scorebug. In scorebug. Are you starting the timer? Okay, then. Okay, that's not the timer. Don't worry about it. Just go to empty now and we'll do it for the next one. So we're off, and in lane 3, it looks like Jamie Turo taking the early lead, but fairly close to Kyler Huyck. Kyler Huyck putting on an impressive performance in the backstroke. However, lane 3 will make the first changeover to Nathan Shen, who has a certain knack for making gaps wider.
That's right. He glides right through the water on his breaststroke. It's very impressive to watch.
One of the top breaststrokers in perhaps all of New York State. I think that's a fair assessment. As we hit the 1-minute mark, that's Nathan Shen, the man in question, and he beats out the rest of the pool by at least half of the pool's length. Really impressive. So once again in lane 3, the current front runners, it's Bobby Deal now. But Tim Sheftick is not too far behind. Now, of course, we won't be seeing any of the Fulton competitors here today, but this is certainly still a competition between JD CBA and Fulton. How do you think JD's chances are going to measure up today?
I don't know. I'm very curious to see how they do. I know in the past they've done very well at their paper meets, and they've still swam some amazing times, even without the competition. So I think there's a lot of hope for them to have a really good meet tonight.
Now, lane 3 is already finished with a 1:53.99. Of course, the last time Fulton and JD CBA met, Fulton actually won it by a decent margin. However, Fulton has only had one meet so far, whereas JD CBA has had 4. So perhaps that experience factor will come into play as second place goes to lane 4 with a 2:07.98. Third place goes to lane 2 with a 2:16.10. And fourth place is lane 5 with a 2:23.88. One event in the books. Now, the best time for lane 3 is a 1:49.68, so a 1:53.99. Respectable time still?
Absolutely. For a race that's this short, that is a pretty good margin.
Coming up next is going to be the 200-yard freestyle.
There's actually 2 heats of this event today. That's pretty unusual. So we'll get to see even more people swim this race.
In fact, the entire first heat is nothing but people who have never swum it before. Is it swum? Swam? What's the past tense? Swam?
Sure.
Swim, swam, swum.
I'm not amazing at English, but that sounds right.
You know, that's supposed to be my job, and even I find myself second-guessing this. If we happen to have any English teachers or professors in the comments section, please let us know what the proper past tense of swim is.
We'd love to fix our grammar.
It would be embarrassing otherwise. We have the comment section up next to us. We can see what you're telling us, so, you know, be kind. Yard free.
Yeah, but where do you want me to press for the timer this time?
Oh, so go to scoreboard. And it's, yeah.
Oh, okay. Can I press it now?
Yeah, go ahead. And just start the timer when that starts.
Okay, what do I press to start?
That'll be top left. Yeah. Start, stop, and reset. You got that? You good?
I believe so.
Okay.
Put up the 2 up for free now, or just
We'll do it after this heat. Apparently it's swam.
Nice. I did not know.
Then what's swum? Because it's not a word you don't hear.
Right. I've definitely heard it used. I'm just not sure in what context.
Who would have thought we're starting today with our opinions on the grammar of swimming?
Oh, certainly not what we need on this February evening.
Is it not what we need, or is it exactly what we need?
You know, it's always important to learn new things. Something new every day.
That's true. So perhaps the new thing you've learned today is that it is swam and not swum. Our first heat of the 200-yard freestyle in lane 1 will be Jacob Price, lane 2, Sam Keener, lane 3, Luke Henderson, lane 4, Malcolm Britz, and lane 5, Liam Wasserman. Now someone seems to be lining up by lane 6, but they're not on the heat sheet.
That looks like George Theobald.
Theobald in lane 6 then. And they're off on the first of 2 heats in the 200-yard freestyle. And it looks like Luke Henderson is taking a narrow lead. He's going to make the first turn. How crucial is that first turn?
It honestly doesn't matter as much in the 200 as it does in the 50. It can be a bit of a important part of the mindset of this race, getting ahead kind of early. But everyone swims it differently. The 200 is a sort of unique event in that you can choose to take it out really fast and sort of run out of steam, or you can try to catch it all up at the end. And every swimmer chooses to swim it differently.
So far, it seems that Luke Henderson and Malcolm Britz are somewhat neck and neck, although that lead is being extended somewhat. They've been less than a full length apart this entire time so far. Once again, no one in this heat has ever swam the 200-yard freestyle before, at least in a competition setting. I assume that in practice you get a chance to mess around with different events.
You definitely do, but practice is a much different setting than a meet in that you really don't have the same level of competition, and you can typically be tired at a practice, whereas at a meet you are more prepared to swim. So hopefully everyone swims faster here today.
From the pace that we're seeing, it looks like most of the people in this pool took the first of your 2 examples and went off the starting block quickly and have let themselves slow down a little bit as they head towards the finish.
Yes, that's actually typically what coaches recommend to swimmers, because it's a lot easier to have too much left at the end of your race if you try to make it all up at the end. It's honestly better to take it out too fast and know that you swam as fast as you could than to take it out too slow and have a lot left in your tank at the end.
But there's got to be at least a part of you somewhere inside that wants to make that dramatic last-minute comeback.
Yes, and you see that a lot with a lot of our swimmers. A great example would be Nate Wales. He always takes out his races at a good pace, and then he typically will come back at the end. And it's always really exciting to watch those races where swimmers do come back at the end, because you're really not always expecting it.
Now, the first place finish here for the Heat 1 is Luke Henderson with a 2:21.77. Second place is Malcolm Britz with a 2:28.32. Third place is a 2:33.32 from Leon Wasserman. Fourth place from George Theobald is a 2:36.86. Fifth place from Sam Keener is a 2:49.81. And sixth place belongs to Jacob Price with a 2:51.64. Pretty respectable times for the first of two heats, I'd have to say.
Definitely. And this is the first time that all of these boys have swam this race. And one of my favorite things to say is that means they are all best times.
That's true. If you've never done it before, this is your best.
Yes.
We're getting more grammatical clarity in the comments here. Swim is an irregular verb. Swam is the past tense, while swum is the past participle. Swum is used after have, as in I have swum in that pool before. So swum you would be using in the that's the present. That's progressive tense, I think.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a great English student.
So at Newhouse at Syracuse University, they make you take the most difficult grammar course you will ever take in your life. It has a 33% fail rate.
Oh no.
Lane 1 in the second of two heats is Braden McVicker. Lane 2 is Luke Marino. Lane 3 is Lucian Zenz. Lane 4, Nate Wales. Lane 5, Michael DiBiase. And Lane 6, Mark Brotslavsky. Sorry to cut you off, you were saying?
Oh, I don't remember.
That's fine. We were talking about grammar and how difficult it is.
Yes, we were.
Difference between past, present simple, present perfect, present progressive. It's annoying, let's say that.
That's true. The English language is very complicated.
It is. Nate Wales currently out in front in lane 4 here, making the turn well before anyone else does. 3 of the swimmers in this race have swum the 200-yard free. Have swum the 200-yard freestyle before, and 3 of them have not. Those 3 being Marino, Zenz, and Wales. Wales has the best time of all of them with a 1:55.43 to beat. We're about halfway there now. And Wales, his lead is just growing monstrous at this point. It is more than a half a pool.
He has really great endurance, and you see that in all of his distance races.
He is perhaps the most accomplished distance swimmer on the JDCBA squad. And as we've talked about before, the future of this JDCBA squad is really bright.
Definitely.
So much young talent here being exhibited as we speak. Nate Wales closing in on that best ever time. Can he do it? 1:53.71. He has beaten his personal best. And qualified for sectionals, I believe.
Yes, I think he already had the sectionals time.
Well, he did it again. Second place is Luke Marino with a 2:03.26. That's about a half second off his personal best, so not a bad showing whatsoever. Third place is Braden McVicker with a 2:10.31. Fourth place, Lucian Zenz with a 2:17.12. He beats his personal best by about a half a second. Fifth place with a 2:22.05 is Michael DiBiase. And finishing up as we speak, the 2:35.46 is Mark Brotslavsky. How do you feel about JDCBA's chances after a showing like that in the 200-yard free?
You know, that was a really impressive race, and I think it's exciting to see some of these time drops mid-season. I will point out Nate is wearing a old tech suit of his today, so that does make a big difference in some of our swims, both mentally and truly in the race. Those suits are really fast, and it being an old one definitely does not make it as efficient, but having that extra little push might have helped him swim a little bit faster today.
To just that the suit being a little more aerodynamic, you're saying?
Yes, they are incredible suits. They're super compressive, and they're also actually water resistant. So you end up getting really hydrodynamic, able to swim really easily through the water.
You would think that like water-resistant clothing would almost be kind of like a performance-enhancing substance.
Yeah, they've had to, on the Olympic level, regulate these suits pretty heavily. They used to go all the way down to the swimmer's ankles, even for the guys' suits. And in recent years, they've had to cut back and set up a lot of restrictions to try to make the playing field more level.
But even just having to take up a different suit, can be a big challenge. Think of like Michael Jordan wore his college basketball trunks under his shorts for every basketball game. Now we're into the 200-yard individual medley. We are really moving fast here. Lane 2 is Kyler Huyck. Lane 3, Bobby Deal. Lane 4, Jamie Toro. Lane 5, Matt Radford. And Lane 6, Matt Trivelpiece. 3 of these 5. And they put someone in Lane 6 again. Oh, wait, no, they did.
Bobby
misread.
Deal has such an impressive butterfly. If you look,
Thanks for saving me.
He is just gliding right through the water. He always pulls so far ahead at the beginning of this race. Now, unfortunately, he does fall behind a bit on the breaststroke, but I've heard he has been working on that. So we'll see if he's able to keep his lead today.
And even so, Bobby Deal has the best time out of everyone in the individual medley with a 2:16.65. So things are still looking pretty good for his chances here.
Now, second and third here, Kyler and Jamie both have really strong backstrokes, so we can see them as sort of pulling ahead here because of those stronger strokes.
It is getting a bit closer between Deal and Toro. Now, we mentioned young talent earlier, as has been a theme all season, and Toro, just a freshman, competed at the varsity level in 8th grade last year. And the sky's the limit for him. Could you see him going possibly states by the time he's a senior?
I think anything is possible for him.
So we're on to the breaststroke. And Deal with a sizable lead. A full length and a half over Toro. Any reasoning behind the choice of the yellow swim caps today?
I don't think so. I think the club team, the local club team, the Syracuse Chargers, has yellow caps, so I'm pretty sure they're just wearing those inside out. They're actually not allowed to have any logos on the swim caps according to New York State regulations, so they're not allowed to wear them right side out.
So we've got old tech suits, we've got
Yes.
inside out swimming caps.
We're a little bit all over the place today, but we're making do.
And that's someone's trying to take a drink on the bench. I thought they had like a tie hanging off their head.
Yes.
Like today is just utter madness, as Bobby Deal will have the first place finish with a 2:22.81. Bit short of his previous best time, but that's all right.
Yeah.
2:26.15 for Toro.
That is a best time for Kyler Huyck, though.
Huyck will take third place with a 2:39.40. Beats it by more than a second. He's still got about 8 seconds to go before he hits that sectional time, though.
That's right.
Fourth place with a 2:46.47 is Matt Trivelpiece, and Matt Radford gets a 2:57.78. So that's 3 of the 12 events done. We head to event number 4, the 50-yard freestyle, the fastest and perhaps most exciting, arguably.
By far. Especially when there is good competition in the 50 free, it is so fun to watch. It just goes by so quickly.
I have to imagine it's the most fun if you like a sport like basketball, but maybe you'd think if you're a soccer fan, I wonder, would you think like the 500-yard free might be your most favorite?
You know, I think for someone who does not typically watch swimming, the longer races can get kind of boring. For someone who does watch a lot of swimming, it could be a lot of fun to watch splits in a race like that, and kind of track how the swimmer is doing as the race progresses. But honestly, for most other sports, the 50 is a fun, quick, fast-paced race that can be really exciting to watch no matter what sport you enjoy.
Well, I think when it comes to those longer races, it's not necessarily about the explosive action, but it's looking at all the little things that go on during these races, those little movements and mistakes that can pile up and cost you, and there's tension in the fact that there's so much to go.
Right. If you think about a race like the 500, you have so many turns, you have so many times you can breathe, you have so many underwaters off of every one of your walls, and there's just so much room to make little mistakes that add up really quickly.
There will be 2 heats of the 50-yard free. In the first heat, lane 2 will be Sam Kim, lane 3, Drew Babkian, lane 4, Tim Sheftick, lane 5, Michael Berger, and lane 6, Willin Arakchev. Michael Berger has never swum. Has never swum, because has is there. Has never swam slash
teachers again.
has never swam the 50 free. This will be his first time. How about this? This will be his first time swimming
Perfect.
the 50 free.
Avoid it altogether.
Just completely avoid it. And the early lead, it looks like, goes to the person in lane 1 who wasn't even on the heat sheet. Don't know who it is, but they win by third of a pool.
In lane 1, that was Michael Bratzlowski.
Michael Bratzlowski. He gets a 24.98. Second place is Arakchev with a 28.60. That's his new best time. Third place with a 29.38 is Tim Sheftick. He's got a new best. Fourth place, a 30.13, goes to Sam Kim. He beats his best time by 0.05 seconds. Fifth place.
Looking at this top time spreadsheet, Michael Bratzlowski also beat his 50 free time by about half of a second.
So hold on, that's 4 best times out of 6. We got to finish the last
Very
2.
impressive.
So fifth place, 30.89. Oh, Drew Babkian missed his best by a half second.
Oh, so close.
And sixth place with a 34.08 is Michael Berger, who has a best time.
Best time.
5 out of 6.
Always great.
You love to see that kind of improvement. 5 out of 6 swimmers.
That means you know they're doing something right on this team.
Now the second heat, lane 1 will be Braden McVicker, lane 2 Garrick Snyder, lane 3 Nate Shen, lane 4 Lucas Holmquist, lane 5 Luke Rystrom, and lane 6 Matt Sullivan. And there we go. The splashiest of all races.
For sure.
Someone protect the equipment, please. As coming into the first and only turn, Nate Shen with a half a length of a lead. Second place, it's a toss-up between Snyder and Holmquist. That's down to the scoreboard. Nate Shen takes over the 23.96. Second place is going to be Garrick Snyder with a 25.50. New best. Third place, Lucas Holmquist with a 25.69, just barely misses his best. Fourth place is lane 5, Luke Rystrom with a 27.51. Fifth place, 27.82, Matt Sullivan. That's his best. And sixth place, 29.72, Braden McVicker. Which means now we head into 1 meter diving. Why is it that the other events are measured in yards, whereas only diving is measured in meters?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think yards is a fairly American thing for swimming.
Yeah, in the Olympics, it's meters.
Yes, everything is 50 meters in the Olympics. And there are even some pools that are short course meters where it is 25 meters instead of 25 yards.
So you would think that diving would be changed over to yards as well, but it's not.
That's right.
All right, the internet detectives in the comment section, you're up. We're getting prepped for diving now. We're going to have 3 divers today. Noah Mignonelli, Sean Rigdon, and Jack Cahill in that order. Now, the JDCBA dive team has been really impressive so far this season. Nothing but first place finishes, but then again, I don't think we've faced anyone with other divers.
Right. JD is one of the few pools that is lucky enough to have a diving board, so we can have a diving team.
And speaking of first place finishes only, JDCBA currently with a 4-0 record in sectional competition today. And you don't want to jinx it, but perhaps that flawless season might be in the headlights.
We will have to see. It's looking like the JDCBA boys are doing a great job this season. We've seen so many personal bests at all of our meets so far, and it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon.
I don't know if I believe we've had 4 perfect seasons in the past. This would be number 5 if they're able to pull it off. And having the shortened season due to the pandemic really doesn't affect that accomplishment whatsoever, because you're still facing however many teams and you're still beating them all.
Right. If anything, the shortened season makes it even more difficult. They've had less time to get into shape and to train, and less time between meets to recover.
So we eagerly await the beginning of diving now. Why don't we take a look at how these two teams did against each other the last time they met? Their last meeting was on January 7th, 2020, before everything went to you-know-where. Is that still, that's still a Syracuse City graphic?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I messed up. All right, I'll own up to it. That's my fault. That should be Fulton on the right, not Syracuse City, but Fulton beat JDCBA 99-87 the last time they met. Now take that thing away. I don't want to look at my mistakes anymore. And it looks like Noah Mignonelli preparing for his first dive. Or no, I believe he's warming up.
Right.
I heard the PA announcer and it put me off. Mignonelli, the youngest and most inexperienced of the 3 divers here. In his first ever competition, he averaged between a 4.5 and a 5.5 on his dives, which is really impressive considering, it was his first time. Now we're going to see the warm-ups of Sean Rigdon. Just warm-ups. When it's the real thing, you'll hear the PA. And as we've talked about pretty much every time diving has come up, no matter who you are in this JDCBA squad, you have the pressure of relieving Lucas Dekaney, who is the greatest diver in JDCBA history.
Yeah, if we look over at our record board, he is the record holder for both the 6 dive and the 11 dive. He has created some big shoes to fill for our divers this year.
You have to imagine that at least Rigdon and Cahill, having had the benefit of being on the same team as him, have tried to do some learning under him and tried to benefit from the experience and the feedback they got, but it still must be a lot of pressure.
I'm sure having such a powerful diver is a lot to live up to, and we're gonna have to watch and see how these divers do filling those shoes.
But at the same time, I kind of wonder, maybe there's less pressure if you think about it a different way, because you're saying, hey, chances are I'm not going to be as good as that guy, so I can be as bad as I want, and, it'll be excused automatically.
Hopefully they don't take that mindset, because we'd love to see the things they're able to accomplish.
We don't want to see anyone, resting on your lack of laurels, but I'm just saying that it could be a possibility.
That's right.
That is Jack Cahill there. Is he a natural redhead?
I think so.
There is a tendency, of course, for swimmers to have their hair gradually bleached by the chlorine in the pool.
Yes, the chlorine definitely damages a lot of swimmers' hair.
And that's not the reason for swim caps. That's to make things more
Right.
aerodynamic. But
Swim
does it help?
caps- Also, swim caps keep your hair out of your face too. If you notice some swimmers, I know Bobby Deal puts his hair up in a little ponytail on top of his head to keep it out of the way as well. Lots of different ways to approach it, but you're right. The swim cap also does make you more hydrodynamic, which is definitely helpful in a race.
Does it help with the hair as well, prevent it from getting bleached, or does that happen anyway?
It helps dry out your hair a little less, just because you do have less chlorine exposure, which is always a good thing. It's kind of counterintuitive. You would think spending so much time in a pool, you would be very hydrated, but nope, chlorine just dries you out.
It's kind of like salt water.
Yep.
All right, it sounds like Noah Mignonelli is going to be ready for his first dive now. It's the 5121D, a forward somersault with a half twist, free landing, degree of difficulty 1.7. Not sure if he completed that full half twist.
And we see that reflected in the scores.
3.5 and a 2.5 for Mignonelli. Not his greatest of starts, but then again, he's only had one other start. Next up is Sean Rigdon. His first dive will be the 5211A, a backwards half twist, straight landing, degree of difficulty 1.8. Rigdon perhaps not happy with how wet the diving board is getting. Trying to get himself a little bit more footing. Look how precariously he's standing on the edge of that. Good simple dive to start. A 6 and a 4.5. Bit of a discrepancy from the judges here.
It is interesting to watch how different judges observe diving differently, and that is definitely one of the difficulties of diving. It is one of the few events that is completely subjective.
That's the difficulty when it comes to any sport which has judges, whether it be boxing or
Gymnastics.
Gymnastics. You could even argue, say, the umpires in baseball, or don't know if you probably wouldn't consider it a sport, but you know, my experience in high school with speech and debate, the judge will make or break your round. Now Jack Cahill's first dive is a 5222D, a backwards somersault with a twist, free landing, degree of difficulty 1.9. Sticks the landing. 4.5 and 5.5. It's unusual to see Cahill get a score as low as a 4.5.
Right, at past meets we've seen a lot of 7s out of him, and we'll see how this meet progresses and if he can get back to that standard.
He's got a little bit of time to regroup and think about where he may have gone wrong. Or perhaps, as we were saying, one of the judges just a little bit critical today. Now Mignonelli's second dive of 6 is the 201A, a backwards dive with a straight landing, degree of difficulty 1.7. Two 5s. That might be his highest rated dive of the season so far. Do you think maybe he should have started with that first?
You know, I think it's good to have that dive that you're confident with and you know will go well a little bit later in your lineup so that you have something to have to look forward to.
Something in case, say, you're not doing so well at the start, something to bring your score back up at the end.
That's right. A lot of times, though, with diving, we do see the more difficult dives last. If we look at our next diver, Sean Rangdin's dives, he has some dives that are difficulties of over 2 for his last 2, compared to all
1.768. This dive is a 1.7 difficulty, somersault with a half twist forward, free landing. Two 5s from the judges. Encouraging words from Coach Bewley there. I think the success in that dive, it all came down to the tuck, which he got, and being able to complete the twist after the tuck, which is extremely difficult to do midair.
Definitely. It's all happens so fast, and these divers have to manage to get situated while midair, which is quite terrifying.
Speaking of terrifying, this is a 2.7 degree of difficulty.
That's impressive.
From Jack Cahill. 52.25D, backward somersault, 2.5 twist, free landing. He deserves every bit of that round of applause. 2 5s from the judges. With the weighting from the degree of difficulty, that's a real nice score.
Yeah, definitely. It's very well weighted. A lot of these divers do more difficult dives because they are weighted so heavily. So a 5 is excellent for his overall scoring.
I don't think we've seen a 2.7 all season yet.
No, I don't think we have. I think that was a new dive.
Now, speaking of new dives and new divers, Noah Mignonelli's third of 6 dives now is the 401C. Inward dive with a tuck, degree of difficulty 1.4. This is his easiest dive, tied with his 6th. Perhaps some over-rotation. Landed on his back, that's gotta hurt.
Definitely.
2 4s, though, from the judges. And it kind of highlights, actually, one of the advantages that Mignonelli has, because when you are taller, it's much harder to get your whole body to move with you when you're doing anything. I'm 6'2", I would know. So having the height disadvantage in many other places is a height advantage when it comes to diving. Now, Rigdon's third dive is a 201A. Backwards dive, 1.7 degree of difficulty. You notice Rigdon and Rigdon alone, he has half of his foot off of the diving board. None of the other two do that.
You know, watching that dive, you see that he gets really great height, which can help a lot with giving him time to get into his form. And that dangling off the board, although it might look precarious, definitely helps get a stronger bounce off of the diving board.
Yeah, because can't believe I'm saying this, with the dangle, you're forcing yourself to be on the balls of your feet, and that is where the propulsion comes from, is the front half of your foot. You know, I've been kind of trying to do the PGA Tour voice at points during this diving, but really there's no difference between that and coming soon to theaters. Coming soon to, what is it? What is it now, Blu-ray and DVD?
Yeah, I think so.
When I started hearing this, it was VHS.
Oh, you're much older than I am.
Coming soon to VHS. Here's Cahill's third dive. Forward 1.5 somersault with a twist. Degree of difficulty 2.2. Speaking of over-rotation, 2 5s, respectable score for that, but that is a difficult dive. That was the 5132D. I'm not that old. I was born on the cusp of when VHSs turned to DVDs. Like, I vividly remember, I think it was 2004. I was going on a flight somewhere, and we got one of those portable DVD players, and it was the newest thing at the time. We only had Finding Nemo, but that was like all we could afford because they were so expensive at the time.
Now you see the difference is I was born in 2004.
Yeah, I am old. You're right.
Yeah.
Mignonelli's fourth dive, the 103C, is a forward 1.5 somersault with a tuck, degree of difficulty 1.7. That's his most composed of the day. 4.5 and a 5, so the judges may not completely agree with me, but I think that was his best looking of the day.
No, that's one of the difficult things about these officials and sports like diving is that there's always going to be someone who disagrees with the score that an athlete gets. With swimming, you don't usually see that because it is truly a race against the clock. There's no real debating with a time. But with diving, you can have such a strong opinion on a score that someone deserves, and it can be very different than what the score actually is.
I might have given Mignonelli a 5.5 there, but now it's time for Rigdon's fourth dive, the 103C, forward 1.5 somersault with a tuck, degree of difficulty 1.6. Six and a half and a 6.5. I was going to say, if he gets any lower than a 5, then I'm rioting. That was a real nice dive from Sean Rigdon, who, by the way, is just a sophomore.
You can see a lot of Jack's experience in his dives. He is definitely the diver doing the most difficult dives at most of these meets, and partially that is due to him having more experience than these other younger divers.
Now it's time for Cahill's fourth dive of the day, the 104B, a forward double somersault with a pike landing, degree of difficulty 2.3, so this is his second most difficult dive of the day. Though I think it's night at this point, there's no windows in here.
We do have a lovely mural, though.
We do, with all the whales. It's very nice. Some dolphins there, too. Speaking of DVDs, he spins like a disc drive coming off of the diving board. Jack Cahill, very impressive. And the judges agree, a 7 and a 6.5. So now it's time for Mignonelli's fifth of 6 dives, the 5211A. A backwards dive with a half twist, straight landing, degree of difficulty 1.8. So this is his most difficult. Do they really have 5,200 dives, or does that code mean something else?
It actually does have a code. Let's let him go and then I'll explain. So any dive with the 5 out the front actually has a twist included in it. So any of the 3-digit dives only have somersaults, and there's different numbers for each of the different types of entries and types of jumps off of the diving board.
A 4 and a 4.5 for Mignonelli. You learn something new every day, and if you watch JDTV, you learn 10.
We're learning lots today.
Fifth of 6 dives for Sean Rigdon, a 104C. Forward double somersault with a tuck, degree of difficulty 2.2. What did I tell you before this? I better be funny today. Oh, that's a dud. It happens to the best of us.
It always does.
Does he get a chance to try it again?
We'll see what the officials let happen. I don't believe so.
'Cause it definitely looked like he lost his balance on that second spring.
Yeah, he ended up just kind of flying right off the board before he was ready to go.
From the looks of it, they're not going to give him a second chance, which is really unfortunate. You can see him explaining what just happened to Coach Bewley. It seems, from what they're motioning, it looks like he was getting ready to do the double somersault, but he leaned forward too much, and it caused him to lose his balance and come off of the board. Cahill's dive is a 204C, back double somersault with a tuck, 2.0 degree of difficulty. Gorgeous. One 6.5 from the first judge. And they'll put it on the score in a moment. Yep, it was another 6.5. His arm was blocking the half, so I wasn't sure. But 2 6.5s and completely earned it, did Jack Cahill, as we now go to the final dives for all three competitors. Minginelli's sixth and final dive will be the 101A, forward half somersault, straight landing, degree of difficulty 1.4, saving what is tied for his easiest dive of the night for last. Quick discussion over at the scorers table. Do you remember when you were a freshman in high school?
I do. It wasn't too long ago.
Right, that's only like 3 years ago for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to know something scary? For me, it was the beginning of last decade.
Oh, you are old.
What was my first year? I graduated high school 2015? So what would that be, 2011 is when I started high school?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I'm not the math person here.
Apparently we're not English people either. Lucky for all of you, we are good at broadcasting, though.
Yeah, thank goodness. 5.0 and a 4.0 for Minginelli. Finishes off the day on a strong note. Yeah, not to toot our own horn, but we're pretty good at this. Thank you very much. Better start seeing some applause in those comments. Come on. Now Sean Rigdon gets a chance to redeem himself after the last dive, as this one also has a 2.2 degree of difficulty. This is the 403C, inward 1.5 somersault with a tuck. So an imploding 1.5 somersault, he tends to do better on these backwards dives. Two 5s. The landing was just a little bit rough. It was hard to get out of that tuck and into the straight for the landing, although it does specify a tuck landing, but you do want to untuck a little bit just to make your entry a little more smooth.
Right, you don't want too much of a splash.
So now here's our final dive of the day, coming from Jack Cahill, the 403C. It's an inward 1.5 somersault with a tuck. It's the exact same one that Rigdon just did. Do you feel bad if you're Rigdon seeing Cahill attempt to one-up you?
You know, I think it's nice to see how your teammates can accomplish such a dive.
Well, Cahill certainly gets more height. Five and a half and a 6, so not much better than Rigdon actually, but is better. And that will wrap up diving here at the JD Pool in DeWitt, New York. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, And then we're going to have a live interview.
Yay.
Isn't that right?
Yes, very exciting.
Should be, because you're the one running it.
Always.
Why don't we, let's do Rampage Read real quick. And then we'll do the 2 next games. Today's meet is brought to you by the Jamesville DeWitt Rampage. The Rampage is a fully online student-run newspaper which covers news, sports, culture, and everything in between. Even the current state of world affairs can't prevent the Rampage from bringing you the Jamesville DeWitt news and stories you care about. So stay up to date on all things JD. Make sure to check out jdrampage.org. That's www.jdrampage.org. And now, while we're waiting for our interview subject to show up, check back in on Saturday at 9:30 in the morning as the Fayetteville Manlius Hornets will come in to take on your JD CBA Red Rams. That should be perhaps the most exciting meet that we're going to see for the rest of the season. Then come back for modified action on February 17th at 5 p.m. as the Liverpool Warriors will take their chances against the JD CBA Red Rams. Both of them will be live right here on JD TV on YouTube. Hey, Lucas Dekaney showed up in the comments.
Nice.
Great diving, guys. Hats off to Sam Gelfand. The commentary is awesome. Glad someone agrees over here. And thank you, Lucas, for joining us all the way from St. Bonaventure University. Hopefully he's proud of the way that these 3 divers have been turning out.
He absolutely should be. They're doing an excellent job filling in his shoes.
Now, where's our interview subject?
I'll go find him.
Go track him down. I'll improvise. Or you know what? Maybe I won't improvise. I think what we'll do instead, why don't we take a break and we'll be right back with our interview subject as we set up for the 100-yard butterfly. Sam Gelfand and Claire Huyck bringing you this broadcast of JD TV. Stick around. We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to the James DeWitt Pool here in DeWitt, New York. Sam Gelfand and Claire Huyck here for JDTV as the teardown after diving has completed and we are about to start the 100-yard butterfly, event number 6. We apologize for not bringing you the interview immediately. As it turns out, our interview subject is in the 100 fly. Your mic is off.
That's right. So we are going to be interviewing him hopefully during the 500 free today.
So in lane 2 is going to be Garrick Snyder, who has never swam.
Lane 2 right now is Michael Bratzlaski.
All right, they're messing with me.
Switching it out.
Well, supposedly, Snyder's in lane 2. Lane 3 is allegedly Bobby Deal. Lane 4 is perhaps Emmanuel Ignacio. Lane 5 may or may not be Matt Trivelpiece. And lane 6, is it Tim Sheftick?
It's hard to tell from all the way over here.
I was trying to see if I could go, if I could find a different way to say we don't know for each one. I can't believe it's not Garrick Snyder coming to a store shelf near you. You know, it's one of my favorite things. Have you ever seen online the third-party knockoffs of I Can't Believe It's Not Butter?
Yes, I have.
It's like memories of butter.
Yeah.
I know it's Photoshopped, but the one that said, "Hi, you were laboring under the misapprehension that this was butter."
Nice.
I like that one. Those inside-out swim caps are butter-colored.
They are.
Do you prefer butter or margarine when you cook?
You
or do you
know,
not really cook?
I usually use just regular butter. That's what we usually have in my house.
I usually go with the margarine.
Really?
Yeah, well, you know, it's lower fat, so it's
That's true.
allegedly
Supposed to be
better for you. Believe it or not, I've had more confusing and less informative broadcasts before.
That's quite impressive. We are a bit all over the place today. We're learning about English. We're learning about butter.
This is informative. I'm talking about we don't know who's in. The lanes got changed around. Like there was a time I did some minor league baseball for a spring training type thing, and they were throwing in people onto the roster without telling me, and they didn't have numbers on the backs of their jerseys.
Now that's confusing.
They did this for multiple games. They would do this. Just find new people. I started giving them nicknames because I didn't know who they were. They wouldn't tell me.
You know, if we look in lane 2, Michael is actually wearing Nathan's swim cap, so we've got some
He is.
confusing going on today.
He is. That is Nate Shen's swim cap. So the JD logo is okay, but other logos are not.
Yes, it's actually the
Lane 1, Matt Trivelpiece, they just announced. Lane 2, Mike Bratzlaski.
little rearrangement.
Sheftick's in lane 5 now. See, they didn't know either. We're excused.
Definitely. All right, yes. So you're actually allowed to have 2 logos, and they have to be a certain size. So for the team's logo, it's all set. That's been approved. But if you have, for example, a Speedo logo, it can't be bigger than, I want to say, 2 inches. So there's some strange rules.
It's all in the name of preventing sponsorships and keeping things fair for our athletes as lane 3, Bobby Deal with the lead and the best seed time. However, there is stiff competition.
Is pulling ahead. He had a really good underwater off of that second wall.
Emmanuel Ignacio, a big player on last year's team. We haven't seen so much of him so far this year, but this could be his breakout moment. He is pulling ahead. of Bobby Deal, and the bench is going wild. This is coming down to the wire. It's anyone's race. Is it Deal or Ignacio?
And Deal takes it.
That time almost doesn't look right.
Drops a second off of his previous best, but
it
in
was
this race, Deal gained almost 3 seconds today. You can feel that the teams are just not swimming the same without the competition. Earlier today, Bob was actually talking to them and asking them to not swim it like a time trial meet and to make sure that they got their energy up so that they were ready to compete and to swim fast.
Now, interestingly, I almost wonder if the time is right because Deal got a 102.93, Ignacio a 103.71, but they seemed a lot closer than 1 second.
The butterfly is tricky because as you're coming into the wall, your time really depends a lot on at what point in the stroke you are. So that was probably because Bobby happened to be at a little bit more of a reach point when he finished at the wall, whereas Emmanuel had to come around in his stroke a little bit more in order to get to that wall.
Third place, by the way, was, who'd they put at Bratslavsky, I think they changed around.
We can't see her again.
Is it off?
No, she said it came unplugged, but she plugged it back in.
Yeah,
So
okay, hold on. Here we go, and now they're going to see some behind the scenes for just a moment as we full screen project, and there we go. All right, what are we doing now?
All right. We are on the first heat of the 100 freestyle in lane 1, Christian Fuller, lane 2, Samuel Kim, lane 3, Braden McVicker, lane 4, Liam Wasserman, lane 5, Samuel
Keener.
All right. And lane 6, Michael Berger.
Thank you for covering me. Our audio is on, right? Okay, I got a yeah, of course it is nod. So that's good. 3 of the swimmers here in this first heat of the 100-yard free are yet to swim the 100-yard freestyle. This is their first time. 3 of them have done it before. Fuller, Kim, and Berger are getting their... Are you ready for this? They're getting their feet wet in the 100-yard freestyle.
Nice. Love a good pun.
And right now, it is the man in lane 4, Liam Wasserman, who is ahead of the pack by more than a length. And he is going to demolish his previous best by about 2 seconds, a 107.05. Coming in second place is Samuel Kim with a 111.31, although actually they changed this around, didn't they? Didn't they? They changed the order
right.
around when they were coming to the starting block, I think.
Give me a second.
All right, let's break out the abacus. Now there's been a change for the second of 2 heats. Instead of Lucas Holmquist in lane 2, it is Garrick Snyder. They're throwing us curveballs today.
Lane 1 is Drew Babkin. Lane 2 is Garrick Snyder. Lane 3, Luke Marino. Lane 4, Mark Bratslatsky. Lane 5, Michael DiBiase. And lane 6, Luke Henderson.
And as we're off, back in the comments section, we have a former team captain, Ben Vahey, JD class of 2015. He's as old as me. Hey, very pleased at what I'm seeing, he says. Even though I'm out of the area now, I get to watch swimming from my old high school on live TV. It really is magical what we're able to put together here, isn't it?
You know, it is really cool that we are able to stream this and actually have more people viewing our meets than typically.
Well, why would you not want to watch this as we see the exciting action of the 100-yard freestyle as Mark Wrocławski trying to pull ahead. His best time is a little bit slower than Luke Marino, who's in lane 3.
Luke and Gehrig are close behind. We'll see if they can catch up in this last 25.
Right now it's looking Wrocławski, then Marino, then Snyder, and that looks like how they're going to finish. 54.75 for Mark Wrocławski, beating his best time by a full second. Second place with a 55.31 is Luke Marino, who's just barely behind his best time ever. Third place, Gehrig Snyder with a 56.26. You look up the sheet and tell me if that's his best.
Who are we looking at?
Gehrig Snyder,
Gehrig
if that's his
Snyder.
best. If that's his best 100-yard freestyle, is coming in fourth.
His previous best was a 57.34.
And he got a 56.26, so yep,
Nice. That's
new
his
personal
second
best.
drop.
Now in fourth place, Luke Henderson with a 1:99. He drops a second off of that. Fifth place, 1:02.29 is Michael DiBiase. And sixth place with a 1:10.65 is Drew Babkian. Personal best there too. So once again, 5 out of 6 swimmers with personal bests.
We've got a lot of best times today. It's very, very fun to watch.
It's got to be real satisfying whether you're on the team, or even if you're Coach Bewley, just to see at this point in the season, people are dropping their best time like flies. But I do wonder if it creates a little bit more pressure as the meet continues because, hey, now you're swimming again or you haven't swum yet, and you're thinking to yourself, man, everyone's hitting their best times, I better do so too.
That's right. It definitely adds a little bit of pressure, and that pressure can be good in trying to encourage some of these swimmers to swim fast.
Now we're coming up for event 8 of 12, the 500-yard freestyle. The qualifying time, a 6:99. We're going to have 3 people swim in this one. In lane 2, as long as they don't mess with us again, is Matt Radford. Lane 3, Nate Wales. And lane 4, Lucian Zenz. Now, of course, a lot of the publicity focused on Nate Wales, but Lucian Zenz has very quietly been improving his times and trying to establish himself as a distance swimmer. And we're off on the longest race, and our interview subject should be somewhere. And here we go. Take it away.
Come sit. Yes.
Yeah, come sit.
Yeah, wherever. All right, everyone. I'm here with Michael Wrocławski. Hi, Michael. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. So we watched you swim the 50 free and the 100 fly. How did you feel like these races went?
I think they went pretty well. I had a best time in the 100 fly, so I'm pretty proud of those times.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like your season has been going really well. I hear you're a captain this year?
Yes, I am, yeah.
What have you guys been doing as captains this year?
Well, we've really just been trying to boost the morale among the team because obviously practices are divided. So we try to make sure everyone's having a good time at swimming.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing for some of that team spirit this year?
Honestly, just every day showing up with a lot of hype and a lot of energy to really get the team going.
That's awesome. You guys have always had such a great team spirit. Has this year felt really different from a lot of last year's?
Yeah, it's certainly different because obviously the COVID situation, but everyone's doing really great. We all enjoy being in the pool and we really cherish every moment of it.
Yes, it's great that you guys have had such a nice season this year. How have you felt that the team has adapted as a whole?
I think everyone's adapted really well. Everyone, is showing up to practice and putting their all into everything we do. So it's been really good.
Yeah, and you guys have how many seniors this year? I think 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. How has the team managed to kind of honor those seniors this year with COVID?
Honestly, I think we've just been able to build a really good bond between everyone. So every day we're all joking around, and obviously we can't do things outside of school as we would like, but everyone's just being really supportive and just always being there for all the seniors and everyone else on the team.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you've had such a great season this year. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I want to give a shout out to Nathan Chen for giving me a swim cap, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, now back to the 500 free.
Michael Broslowski, everybody. And if you haven't been following along with the 500 free, as you should be, even though it looks like Nate Wales and Matt Radford are somewhat neck and neck, Wales is 2 laps ahead of everybody.
It's very impressive to watch how strong he looks in all of these distance races.
You can see on the boards, everyone else is going into 9, and, well, he's on 11. That's number of lengths left, correct?
No, that is the counter for how many laps they have completed.
How many they have done already? Well,
Yes.
you see, this is why I asked.
So with the 500, the counter will go until it says number 17, and then they will place the red board up for the indicating the final 25.
So if you haven't done swimming before, just unfamiliar with how it works, you know now. See, 9, 11, and 13. Nate Wills, his time to beat is 5:15:12, which is already 45 seconds faster than the Section 3 qualifying time. Which is kind of amazing to think. After the first meet of the season, if he never showed up again, he would have made sectionals.
That's right. He has definitely established himself as JDCBA's distance swimmer.
And he's still got a couple years left, too, to continue to improve what he's doing.
Right. It'll be exciting to see what he's able to accomplish in his next few years.
Stick around. Maybe I would say by at least 2023, you could see JDCBA being a regional powerhouse with the young talent we've got here.
Right.
Which is really so exciting to see. 4 minutes 20 on what we previously described as the soccer of swim events.
Nate's actually looking a little tired today. He's breathing every other stroke, which is more than he usually does. But even so, he is pulling ahead.
Maybe the difference in times of the meets could be playing with the natural rhythm of these swimmers. Today's a 5 o'clock start. Usually you're seeing either a 9:30 start or a noon sometimes on the weekends. And usually if it's a weekday, you're usually starting at 7 p.m.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to mix everything up like we're doing today.
We've talked about it before. Nate Wales is just so impressive with how fluid he is in the water and how little he splashes.
Right.
Just so hydrodynamic. He finishes with a 5:09.63. He takes his best time and tears it in half emphatically.
It's awesome to see how much he's able to improve at all of these swim meets, just constantly dropping time.
That's 15, 14, 13, 12.
Going into his
11,
final 50, Lucien has a very strong kick. It looks like he is going to be able to stay strong through this end of this race.
So that's 6 seconds that Nate Wales just shaved off, as you said, tired.
Right.
And out of it. 6 seconds off his best time, putting him nearly a full minute quicker than the sectional qualifying times.
That is excellent. Now, I don't have the states cut here, but it is important to notice that for the 500, it is a big gap between the cuts.
I believe the state cut is about 4:53.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's very...
And by the way, hate to interrupt you, Lucien Zenz takes 6 seconds off of his best
That's
time.
excellent. He is only about half of a second off of the sectionals cut.
Half a second away from sectionals. And now we're about to see Matt Radford in his first time doing the 500 free finish things out on his end.
You know, the 500, the first time you swim it is definitely the most difficult, just mentally, because you have no idea what you are getting yourself into. It is a long race, and it is very challenging to swim, so it is incredibly impressive that he's able to do this well on his first time.
He finishes with a 6:44.65, which is nothing to sneeze at either, but how about that? 7 seconds shaved off by both Nate Wales and Lucien Zenz, and it speaks to all the opportunities you get in a longer event like the 500 free that you have so many opportunities to improve and make dramatic differences in your time like that.
That's right. You have a lot of time within this race to drop a lot of your time. And, you know, it goes both ways. You can have a lot of time to gain time, too. But it's awesome to see that these swimmers are dropping that time consistently.
So now the bench is empty for the 9th out of 12 events, the 200-yard freestyle relay. And if they start messing around with who's in what lane, then, well, we're completely out of luck because this is the most packed event of the day.
Yes, and like at the last virtual meet, we have most of the team is swimming in this race since it is only one heat. So it's fun that the entire team gets to swim in the same heat all together.
So in lane 1, it'll be Michael Berger, Noah Mignonelli, George Theobald, and Lucian Zenz. Lane 2, Lucian Zenz, by the way, just did the 500 free, and now he's back in it.
Turnaround.
Lane 2, Matt Sullivan, Emmanuel Ignacio, Liam Wasserman, and Braden McVicker. Lane 3, Nathan Chen, Luke Rystrom, Michael DiBiase, and Nate Wales, who at least he's swimming 4th, so he's got some time to rest. Lane 4, Lucas Holmquist, Mark Brotslavsky, Garrick Snyder, and Luke Marino. Lane 5, Bobby Deal, Tim Sheftick, Sam Keener, and Drew Babkian. And in lane 6, Sam Kim, Luke Henderson, Matt Radford, and Matt Trivelpiece. 1:30.12 is the state meet time. No qualifying time for Section 3 Class A. By the way, I was right. The state qualifying for 500 free is 4:52.52. So about 4:53 was correct. All of these teams have competed before in the free relay. The best time going to lane 4 with a 1:42.05 is the time to beat, and they're off.
Now, I don't think these are actually times that have been competed in a race. I'm fairly certain they are just each swimmer's 50 time added together. Because typically people have swam the 50 free, and typically I know Coach Bewley likes to mix up the order of his relays.
That's where the X is right here, I believe. That means it's split, but there are some...
X's are exhibition. So
I take it back.
These relays count.
I thought it was split.
No.
Which is the mark for split then? Was it's not R. I don't know. I look at Swim Cloud. I take what I can.
Lanes 1, 5, and 6 in this heat are exhibition heats or exhibition swims, and lanes 2, 3, and 4 are all official towards points.
Then yes, 1:42.05 still the time to beat from lane 4. Lane 3, the second best with a 1:42.64, and it is neck and neck in lanes 3 and 4 right now. Believe that's Luke Rystrom and Mark Brotslavsky. Pulling ahead, though, is Rystrom. So he'll make the handoff to Michael DiBiase. We are at the minute 30 mark now. It really gets chaotic in here during the free relay, doesn't it?
It does. There's a lot happening between all the changeovers and just sprinting the 50s. It's a lot.
It's just loud.
Yeah, it is.
The JD Pool is temporarily turned into the Thunderdome in here.
You know, at the big meets, for example, at sectionals, it's even more fun to watch these races because all the teams are cheering and there are so many people, and we can see that energy is not here at meets like this, which is part of why it's so difficult to go best times at these dual meets.
Well, it's also part of the problem with the COVID pandemic that is currently happening is you miss some of that atmosphere, but instead you get a closer look into what's actually happening in the competition itself.
That's right. It's definitely the bones of the swim meet and not a lot of the excitement that goes along with it.
Now for the times itself, 1:43.32 from lane 3. They're in first place. Lane 4 is in second place with a 1:48.07. Third place goes to lane 2 with a 1:54.87. Fourth place is lane 5 with a 2:01.85. Lane 6 is fifth with a 2:03.21. And sixth place is lane 1 with a 2:08.71. So we go into the 100-yard backstroke now, event number 10. $1:11.99, the time to beat, and out of the 4 competitors, 2 of them already have beaten this time. That being Jamie Turo and Kyler Huyck, who are in lanes 3 and 4 respectively. Lanes 1 and 2, Christian Fuller and Malcolm Britz.
It looks like we've been switched up on again.
I want to talk to a manager.
In lane 1 we have Seamus, and in lane 2 is Malcolm. Lane 3 is Jamie. Lane 4 is Kyler. So just lane 1 got switched up.
You're going to have to refresh me on that when it comes to figuring out who takes it. I'll just name the lanes and you tell me who it is. But we only have 4 swimmers in this one. Oh, wait. No, that's the breaststroke that has the added heat.
Coming off of this start, Kyler had a really strong start. He came up first.
Just go empty. It's fine. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm directing traffic here.
Yeah. Now, usually Jamie pulls ahead of Kyler quite a bit pretty early on, but he's doing a better job keeping up today. Malcolm has a very strong pull. It's impressive to watch how quickly he's going through the water.
Now, of course, you are related to Kyler.
I am, yes. That
He's
is
your brother.
my brother. Yes.
How do you think he's doing today compared to what you've seen in the past?
You know, his first 50 looked really strong, but it looks like he's getting a bit tired. If you watch Jamie Turo, he is kicking pretty strongly, whereas Kyler's legs are kind of dangling down a bit. That's kind of part of what happens when you get tired. If you look, Malcolm also has this starting to happen, where his legs are starting to drag down a little bit.
And you can see, I believe that's Christian Fuller in lane 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is gasping for air right now.
That's right.
But it's a lesson, never skip leg day.
Definitely. Backstroke is so much about the kick. It's one of the most powerful parts of the stroke.
But you would think, you know, with the rotator cuff action that goes on in backstroke, you would think that this would have more to do with the arms than some of the other strokes.
You can only pull so much water. It's not the most efficient catch. You still get quite a bit, but you can only do so much. In first place, Jamie Turo with a time of 102.16. Lane 4, Kyler with a 107.10.
That's his new best. Beats it by a half second.
Lane 2 with Malcolm with a time of 115.29.
He's 0.05 off.
And lane 1, Christian with a time of 125.08.
He had no time, so that's his best. So 2 best times out of the 4. Continuing the theme of this meet is paper meet here live exclusively on YouTube at JDTV. Once again, Sam Gelfand and Claire Huyck bringing you this action, and we are so thankful that you're joining us here. As we now go to event number 11, you do me a favor, instead of pulling up the qualifying times, more importantly, Nathan Shen got a new puppy, and we showed it last time, but we're going to show it again because it's worth it. There we go. That's Winter, the Samoyed. Absolutely adorable.
Aww.
Yeah, I thought this was important. We needed to see this. Of course, it comes up during the breaststroke with Nate Shen being the best breaststroker on the team. We're doing 2 heats of the 100-yard breaststroke, and they're continuing to change things up. At this point, I'm complaining to somebody. Okay, so who is it now?
You know, we're gonna
find out. Joe.
Christian Fuller at 5, and Jacob Price at 6. He was supposed to be in the other heat.
Okay.
Such a disaster. Awesome. Yeah, there's no Seamus. You can cross him out. Drew, lane 2, you can cross him out. Sorry.
Okay, so we have lane 3 at Sam Kim, lane 5 is Christian Fuller, lane 6 is Jacob Price. And we figure this out as they're finishing up. Or no, they're not finishing up. Not yet. They have one. They have 2 more lanes to go. It took us half the race, but we figured it out.
Unfortunately, the lineup has been all over the place today, but we are making do with what we have and figuring it out as we go.
Exactly. It's about making do with what you got, and that goes whether it's broadcasting or swimming or any other sport. You can see some people drying off surrounding the pool as we only have one more event left, and that is the 400-yard freestyle relay coming up after the 100-yard breaststroke. This is heat 1 of 2. And right now, Sam Kim with a healthy lead. But they're closing the gap. Might have spoken too soon. Indeed, first place goes to Price with a 134.51. 134.88 was Sam Kim. And a 135.80 for Christian Fuller. So I spoke too soon. Okay, so no changes to the second heat of the 100-yard breaststroke. Matt Sullivan, Willem Arakchev, Nathan Shen, Emmanuel Ignacio, and George Theobald lining up in order. Sectional time to beat 1:17.99. This really has been an excellent showing from JDCBA. All meet long, people have been smashing personal bests.
Yeah, we've seen so many best times. It's been really impressive to watch.
And you hate to declare it this early, but with the lead Nathan Shen's already taken, you think everyone's just going for second place?
You know, I think at this point they're probably focusing on trying to reach that sectionals cut. It is already, Chen and Ignacio have already gotten that time.
Arakchev just needs to get a couple more seconds away and he could hit sectionals.
That's right, and we'll have to see if he's able to drop those this season.
.45 seconds now. And Nathan Shen has pulled out a half a pool lead. Excellent push off the wall there.
Yeah, he has really fabulous underwaters. He gets quite a bit of a lead on each wall.
And that's why you don't skip leg day.
Definitely.
And he takes it by a whole half a pool. 109.17. That's a new best.
Lane 4, Emmanuel with a time of 1:16.43.
Not quite his best, but still a sectional time.
In lane 2, we have Willem with a time of 1:22.75.
That's a new best.
In lane 5, we have George with a time of 1:26.86.
Just barely off.
Matthew in lane 1 with a time of 1:36.60.
And he beats his time by a second. So good results all around. Is it typical that you usually do better than the previous meet as the season progresses?
It depends. For some people who swim, they hit a bit of a plateau and they can go several meets without dropping any time. And then there are some people who hit a bit of a time drop where they'll just keep dropping time at meet after meet. And those are the drops that we want to watch because it can be very impressive what people are able to do.
So there's only one event left and one heat left before we all head home at the end of the day. The 400-yard freestyle relay, and whether or not they change things around, I'm telling you who's on the heat sheet here. It doesn't matter. That's who you're going to think it is. In lane 2 for JDCBA, it's Mark Brotslavsky, George Theobald, Luke Henderson, and Michael Berger. Lane 3 is Nate Wales, Michael DiBiase, Luke Rystrom, and Christian Fuller. And in lane 4, is Luke Marino, Lucian Zenz, Sam Kim, and Noah Mignonelli. Mignonelli's been pulling double duty. He's been doing relays along with diving as well.
It's really impressive that he's able to have such a talent for both.
And something that you're going to see him develop as a freshman. Perhaps in a year or two, he might find himself making the decision, all right, which am I better at, diving or swimming, and maybe have to stick to one.
Right, there's definitely some difficulties that come with splitting your training.
When you play with the mic, it picks it up. It makes that rumbling sound. And we're off. Early lead in the freestyle goes to lane 3. That's Nate Wales. You know, today is actually National Pizza Day, and the freestyle just looks easy as pie to Nate Wales.
Nice.
I try on occasion.
Yeah.
In second place right now is Luke Marino. Third is Mark Brotslavsky, but all three of them, don't let this fool you. They are all three very powerful swimmers.
They absolutely are. They are so strong, and they look really quite amazing today. Each of them has a really powerful stroke, and it's really impressive to watch how fast they're able to swim.
Even Mark Brotslavsky, despite coming in third, still finishes his heat in a minute. It's just a testament to how much faster the other two are.
That's right.
There's an opportunity to catch up here for Lucian Zenz, who is only a half a length away from Michael DiBiase. Did you expect DiBiase and Zenz to be so close?
You know, it's very difficult to come off of a relay start and be a little bit behind. So the fact that they have been able to kind of maintain those leads has been really, really good.
And look, Zenz, he's off of the underwaters, he gets up to about a half a length, but then on the straight up freestyle, he goes back to about a length.
That's right, and watching that, it's very cool to see how he has that nice technique off of his walls. That can be something that's really difficult for a lot of pretty advanced swimmers to develop. So having already have that of his stroke means that if he just keeps training, he's going to have a really amazing race.
And if he gets lucky enough to find a shorter pool.
Definitely.
And now look at this, lane 4 pulling ahead. That's Sam Kim giving it to Luke Rystrom. And now he's taking the lead. By a half a length, Sam Kim making up some excellent time for lane 4. By the way, I should get the plug in. Don't forget that basketball season begins next week, and we at JDTV will be bringing you every single basketball contest for Jamesville DeWitt Athletics, hopefully, if our plans pan out, not only varsity, but perhaps junior varsity and Mod 9 as well. So there's going to be a lot of sports to look forward to here on JDTV, and we hope that you'll be joining us for it, even after the conclusion of the swim season. Both the boys and girls basketball teams looking great this year for Jamesville DeWitt, especially the girls team. Both of them hoping to rebound from losing in the sectional finals in both of their respective competitions to CBA, actually, for the boys. And I believe, was it East Syracuse Manila for the girls?
Yes.
And even more than that, the boys, their first game is going to be on the 20th on Saturday against CBA, and they only lost by 2 points last year. So this is really a rubber match. It's going to be one to see.
That'll definitely be a fun matchup.
But of course, we're about to finish up, hopefully, the 400 freestyle relay in just a moment here. That is soon, but this is now. And lane 3 will take it with a 4:15.17, but a 4:16.26 for lane 4. That was anybody's race. And now Michael Berger looking to finish things up.
Lane 2 with a final time of 4:38.47.
And that's it. That is the end of today's meet, supposedly against Fulton. They're not here, but they are in our hearts.
Absolutely.
So what would you take away from JDCBA's performance today?
I like how many best times I am seeing, or at least season best times, from so many swimmers. It's really exciting to see what they're able to do with this shortened season, and I'm excited to see what they continue to do as the season finishes up.
Someone in the comments named It's Noah says, "Go Noah." Delightfully absurd. A successful meet all around here for JDCBA as they set so many best times, qualify for sectionals and others. And even though we don't know how Fulton's doing, it's going to be tough for them to be able to catch up.
That's right.
So thank you very much for joining us here live on YouTube. For everyone here at JDTV, my name is Sam Gelfand, alongside my broadcast partner, Claire Huyck.
Everyone have a great night.
Have a very good night, wherever you may be.